If you randomly happen to bump into a piano concert stage and had the opportunity to play for a couple minutes, whether it was for yourself, for a friend, for an audience, or even for your favorite pianist, do you trust yourself to play something that you've previously learned from memory? Well, the first scenario happened to me less than 2 weeks ago. I wanted to make this video to share my experience with you and thoughts on this topic of maintaining an active repertoire as an amateur pianist. So what happened was, I was in Italy visiting a beautiful town called Lucca in Tuscany. We were in a botanic garden just visiting for about half an hour. And at some point we see something that doesn't usually belong to a botanic garden. It looked like a tent. Thought we'd go and visit and see what's inside. To my surprise, what was inside, it wasn't a massive flower, or it wasn't meant to preserve flowers. It was a stage designed for a piano concert. Of course, I looked around for a bit. I couldn't see anyone that would tell me off for maybe playing on a piano for a while. And of course I played on it. And I was fortunate enough that I was there for a few minutes and nobody came to check. While this experience in Lucca was a beautiful one, it's fairly rare for that to happen. However, there's so many other reasons why I think maintaining a short repertoire of pieces that you love is a really good idea. So a few of these examples could include something that was huge for me before the whole coronavirus pandemic, which was playing on public pianos. To play on a public piano, usually you want to play something that you maybe know from memory, something that you're very comfortable with. Otherwise it could be daunting to just have loads of people watching you, especially if it's based in a very public space like a train station, airport. Others could include going to visit a friend that maybe has a piano, so it would just be very nice to just be able to play something, like going to a music shop and just being able to play something on there. And it doesn't have to be something very advanced, just anything that you like and can play. Being able to play something in a recital that you go to, and I've talked before about the different recitals that I used to do before the pandemic on Meetup, or simply just playing something for yourself or for a friend at your own house and not having to worry about making many mistakes because it's still a work in progress. Another little story I have from this one time when I was on a networking call. This lady had loads of paintings on the wall. Long story short, at the end of the call we talked about like art and different things that we do within art. She found out that I play the piano and she was playing the ukulele, so she played something on the ukulele. I had to play something on the piano, and knowing a piece that you maybe maintain every couple of days makes your life so much easier. Little moments like that. And now a question that you might ask would be, do you have to memorize a piece that you want to maintain on your repertoire? While I'm not a teacher, I can share from my experience, and I can say that if there's ever a time that you have to memorize a piece, it's for something that you really love so much that you want to maintain. And I personally find it so much easier to play something the way that I want it to be played when I already memorize it, rather than having to sight read and play at the same time. If you have it memorized, you can put a lot more emotion into it. And what I usually find is that by the time I finish a piece, I pretty much have it memorized, except for maybe a couple little spots that I just have to work on separate. But for short to medium pieces, it's not such a huge amount of extra work that you have to do. And obviously I can't talk for 20+ minute sonatas because I'm not at that level yet. And also, if you go back to like playing on a public piano or a friend's house, it's better if you know the piece, because you can't just be like, oh, let me pull my book and read from it, or you might not even have the book or a phone or something, so it's just much easier to play. Another usual worry is that, well, I don't know any cool pieces. I can't play a Chopin Waltz or Chopin Ballade or Nocturne or Beethoven Sonata, whatever it is. You might be, well, I've just started, I'm a complete beginner, or I'm an intermediate and I don't have anything cool to play. I think it's still very important to learn something for two reasons. If, let's say, you're a complete beginner, you don't even need to learn a full piece. So what I started with when I learned how to play the piano was Ludovico Einaudi's Nuvole Bianche, and you don't have to learn the full piece, just learn a few bars or maybe the first half of the piece and just keep working on that for a few months on top of doing the stuff that's at your level. If on the other hand you're intermediate, you've probably learned 10, 20, 30 pieces by this point, so just pick one that you like the most and learn that one really well, or try and pick something that's again slightly above your level. So what I did at that point, at the end of my first year, I really liked Chopin's Waltz in A minor, so I've learned that, which was above my level, but it took more work than a piece that was more appropriate, like a Bach Minuet. Learning a new piece to, I'd say, performance level of some sort is a skill in itself. So starting out early teaches you things, or maybe just makes you aware of things that you wouldn't have known otherwise, that come in very handy when you learn to play the piano, such as memorizing a piece. Personally, while I'm not sure if I'm doing grade 6 or not, I'm just learning the pieces anyway, and then I have another month or so to decide. So on top of the pieces for my exam, I'm trying to maintain a couple of the pieces that I've previously posted on this channel, such as Chopin's Waltz in F minor, which is potentially going to be an exam piece for me. The first piece from Schumann's album called Scenes from Childhood, which is a piece that I love a lot and I've posted on this channel before, and Elton John's Your Song. A few things that I found very helpful when it came to memorizing any type of piece so far were trying to have a long-term view. So spending 10 hours on a piece where you do half an hour every day for 20 days is a lot better than doing 3 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow, or 3 hours and then another hour in 4 days. Just looking long term is a lot easier. And then when it comes to maintaining it, doing 5 to 15 minutes every 3 days, it's a lot better than half an hour or an hour once every 10 days. So in essence, the more often you do it, the better it is put in the same amount of time. That's just my experience with learning anything. And then listening to it helps a lot. And you can watch a YouTube video or you can listen on Spotify or whatever platform you choose. Sometimes it's even very, very helpful to listen to it and try and play with the pianist that's playing it. In that way, you get to learn the subtle things that they do in their interpretation of the piece. And then even if you're away from the piano, if you just try to sing it in your head, that helps. And that's a tip that my teacher gave me before. And one that I started recently was to try and analyze a piece from a music theory standpoint. That also helps with memorization. So the more angles you can take in learning a piece, the easier it's going to be. However, a crucial aspect that goes against everything that I've said so far is there's so much beautiful music out there that it's pointless at times to just learn the same piece over and over again. So you have to try and find the balance that works for you between maintaining a piece that you've previously learned and learning new pieces that you would love to learn, because there's always so much music that I want to learn myself. So find the balance that works for you and don't obsess. If you forget a piece, usually it's going to be much easier to relearn the same piece. And if you keep practicing with time, you get better anyway. Even if you, in the worst case scenario, completely forget what you've learned before, it would be so much easier the second time to relearn it. So now if you enjoyed this video and you would like to help my channel, please remember to like this video so that you can get a better reach. I'm always so grateful that you guys are very engaging in the comments, and I would like to ask you two things. One, what piece do you think represents my channel? Is there anything that stood out so far? And two, what are your thoughts on maintaining an old repertoire? Very grateful for the time that you've given to watch this video. I hope you found it helpful, and as always, stay accountable to yourself, keep learning, and I look forward to see you next time.